Gentlemen, we were not born to chase. We were born to become. Not to shout louder, but to resonate deeper. Not to beg for approval, but to embody certainty. Real success is never earned by scrambling harder. It is attracted by the man who has disciplined himself into alignment with something greater. It is magnetized, pulled toward the man who has mastered the invisible. There is a force more powerful than words, more commanding than appearance, more persuasive than argument. It is aura. Aura is not mysticism, it is energetic precision. It is the product of a man whose inner world is in order, whose thoughts are not scattered, whose values are not for sale. This energy walks in the room before you do. It speaks louder than your mouth ever could. Most men talk, but are not felt. They move, but they do not influence. They want, but do not attract. But the man with aura, he is silent thunder. His presence shifts the temperature of a room. His calm is more commanding than chaos. Understand this. But you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Okay, your habits are your broadcast. Actually, your posture is your resume. And your tone is your frequency. But your rituals are your signature. You see, success isn't found in performance. It is found in alignment. Your self-image must match your self-discipline. Your external must echo your internal. And your environment, it must mirror your excellence. This is not about pretending. This is about becoming the man who no longer needs to explain himself. The man who has retired from performance. The man whose silence says more than most people's noise. That man doesn't follow trends. He sets standards. He lives by sacred contracts. Daily rituals that are not negotiable. He carries a stillness that bends the world around him. Stillness, ritual, integrity. These are his tools. He does not chase success because success follows him, and the world can feel it. So I say to you today, let this be your confirmation. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to explain yourself in its significance. You are here to become undeniable. Aura is not a gift. It is a byproduct of discipline, of inner order, of sovereign energy. You want to be felt? Then become a force. Build the kind of presence that doesn't need to knock because the door opens before you arrive. Success is not a race nor a reward for those who make the most noise. It is a mirror, one that reflects not what we desire, but what we have become. The man who hustles endlessly, shouts for attention, and constantly seeks validation is unknowingly revealing his disconnection from power. He is chasing shadows, mistaking motion for progress. In truth, real success is not the result of external effort alone. It is the inevitable response to internal mastery. The man who has cultivated deep alignment within himself magnetizes opportunity, trust, and influence without the need to demand it. This principle is not rooted in mysticism, but in energetic law. Every individual is broadcasting their internal state at all times through tone, posture, pace, and presence. When a man operates from desperation, the world senses it. When he operates from calm certainty, the world leans in. The invisible precedes the visible. The cause comes before the effect. This is the quiet law that governs the lives of those who consistently rise while others are still trying to be noticed. There is an undeniable gravitational force surrounding the man who has done the deep work. The kind of work that sharpens clarity, forges integrity, and eliminates noise from the soul. He has not become magnetic by chance. He has become magnetic by choice through the rigorous refinement of his thoughts, values, and actions. While others broadcast confusion, he transmits coherence. While others compete for scraps, he creates spaces where resources flow toward him. His life becomes a reflection of his order. His results, a mirror of his vibration. There is no secret to this, only the discipline to stop chasing what you are not willing to embody. And once embodiment is achieved, the chase ends and attraction begins. Not because he wants, but because he is. Presence is not performance. It is not charisma rehearsed, nor confidence feigned. It is the invisible weight a man carries when he has organized his inner world to such precision that his very being speaks before his mouth does. In a society obsessed with doing more and speaking louder, few understand the rare and irrefutable force of simply being aligned. Presence is not crafted through manipulation of image. It is forged through the quiet, consistent discipline of congruence between thought, intention, and action. When a man's inner architecture is intact, when his principles are non-negotiable, his presence enters the room before his body crosses the threshold. The world does not respond to effort alone. It responds to energy people feel before they listen. They read signals before they hear sentences. The man who has presence does not need to sell himself. He reveals himself without effort because his presence is not for show. It is the natural consequence of deep internal calibration. The untrained eye may mistake this for luck or charisma, but it is neither. It is an energetic order expressed through physical form. A man's presence becomes powerful when it is unfragmented. When he is not trying to be 10 different people for 10 different audiences, when his values are not adjusted based on convenience, when his speech matches his character and his posture echoes his purpose, in this rare alignment, his presence becomes a field, not a facade. He becomes the still point in a room full of noise, not because he controls others, but because he controls himself. He does not react to chaos. He reveals the standard that disarms it. In a world of performance, presence is the one thing that cannot be faked, cannot be bought, and cannot be mistaken when it is real. Identity is not declared, it is demonstrated. It is not shaped by labels or aspirations, but by the subtle, continuous transmission of energy through behavior. Every man is communicating his identity at all times, not just through his words, but through his tone, posture, pace, and decisions made in solitude. What a man does daily is louder than what he says occasionally. His habits are the architecture of his character, and the world responds not to his intentions, but to the frequency of who he actually is. Identity, then, is less about self-description and more about energetic broadcast. The body does not lie. The way a man stands, breathes, looks, and listens reveals volumes about his internal reality. If he walks with doubt, speaks with apology, and hesitates in action, he is not convincing anyone of confidence, no matter what affirmations he repeats. The alignment between belief and behavior is what makes identity felt. The more aligned that connection, the more powerful the presence. Energy, unlike language, cannot be manipulated with ease. It is immediate and honest. It reflects the unseen, revealing either coherence or confusion. Most men believe influence is a result of what they say, yet the most influential figures in history and in any room are often those who say very little. They carry the weight of self-certainty. They emanate clarity. That clarity is not the product of charm. It is the outcome of living in accordance with one's internal compass. Every choice either fortifies or fractures identity. A man who breaks promises to himself, even silently, erodes the signal he sends to the world. Over time, this weakens his impact, regardless of how polished his surface may appear. When identity and energy are misaligned, influence is diluted. But when they are one and the same, the man is unmistakably felt before he is ever heard. Discipline is not punishment. It is the deliberate shaping of one's inner world into coherence with one's higher self. It is the quiet architecture behind true power, the structure that sustains clarity, the anchor that holds identity in place, the invisible craft that sharpens energy into presence. Most men attempt to construct outer success while leaving their inner domain in disarray. But no external strategy can compensate for the absence of internal order. Discipline is the tool by which a man sculpts himself into something that cannot be swayed by impulse, noise, or distraction. It is the slow and often unseen work that aligns desire with behavior and belief with action. The shaping of the invisible begins in the smallest details. The way a man keeps his promises to himself, honors time, resists temptation, and cultivates focus in solitude. These are not minor acts. They are sacred rituals through which the unseen becomes real. Energy responds to structure. Without discipline, energy scatters. With discipline, energy sharpens, refines, and becomes directional. It is not the loud man who moves the world, but the one whose energy is condensed into clear, unwavering intent. Such a man does not require attention. He draws it without asking. In a world addicted to stimulation and speed, discipline creates a field of still power. It allows a man to remain unmoved while others react, to stay rooted while others seek refuge in noise. Through discipline, he becomes the custodian of his own energy, no longer leaking it into lesser aims or false urgency. He does not wait for ideal conditions to act. He creates rhythm from within. His life is not driven by moods, but by principles. Each repetition, each act of restraint, each moment of intentional effort becomes a thread in the invisible fabric that defines who he is before he speaks. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of mastery. It is the calm that arises not from passivity, but from sovereign control over one's own nervous system, emotions, and attention. In a culture that glorifies speed, reaction, and noise, stillness is mistaken for weakness, when in truth it is the highest form of strength. The man who can remain unmoved in the face of chaos, who can listen deeply without the need to interrupt, who can pause before he acts, holds more power than the one who rushes to be seen or heard. Stillness is not emptiness. It is presence without fragmentation. The mind trained in stillness does not collapse under pressure. It perceives beyond it. It creates space between stimulus and response. That space is where choice lives, and within choice lies power. A reactive man is a predictable man. He is easily manipulated, his energy constantly pulled by external forces. But the still man is unreadable, not because he hides, but because he governs his own field. His restraint is not silence born of fear, but silence born of sovereignty. This man is not concerned with appearing impressive. He is concerned with being immovable in principle. Stillness is also the condition that gives rise to insight. Noise clouds perception, but stillness refines it. It allows a man to hear the subtle truths that performance drowns out. In ritual, stillness becomes sacred. In conversation, it becomes magnetic. In conflict, it becomes dominance without aggression. The man who can remain still without shrinking, silent without disconnecting, and composed without suppressing, is not detached. He is deeply present. His energy speaks in frequencies that words cannot reach. In this presence, others feel not just his authority, but their own disorientation by contrast. His stillness reminds others of what they have forgotten in themselves. A man becomes powerful the moment he understands that he is the cause, not the effect. Life does not happen to him, it responds through him. The external world is not a master, but a mirror, reflecting the internal conditions he either ignores or refines. When a man sees himself as the effect of circumstance, he becomes reactive, dependent, and emotionally unstable. But when he reclaims his position as the cause, he begins to author reality with precision, not from arrogance, but from alignment with universal law. This is not a philosophy of control. It is a discipline of responsibility. Energy does not lie. It follows coherence. When a man refines his energy, his world begins to reflect that refinement. People, opportunities, and conditions reorganize themselves not out of coincidence, but in resonance with the field he projects. The moment he stops outsourcing his power, blaming systems, doubting timing, or waiting for permission, his frequency shifts. That shift is not a surface change. It is a reconfiguration of who he is at the most fundamental level. From that space, effort is no longer frantic. It becomes focused. Action is no longer compensatory. It becomes generative. This type of man does not chase outcomes. He shapes them by shaping himself. His habits, environment, and decisions are not random. They are chosen with care because he knows each one is a vote for the kind of reality he is building. He does not speak of potential without moving in accordance with it. He does not expect from life what he has not yet embodied. His results are not pursued. They are permitted because his energy is precise enough to hold them. In his presence, there is a sense of inevitability, not because of what he demands, but because of who he has become in silence, in solitude, and in relentless self-governance.